Okay, let's do this. All right.
All right.
So we're back.
Podcast number 2.
Number 2.
Yay.
Well,
okay. Welcome back.
Yeah.
All right, Donnie. So what we talked a lot last time in the podcast about laying the groundwork and a little bit more about actually the beginnings of your story. So what we thought we'd put together today is just a very quick recap of what we talked about on podcast 1, and then move forward with even more exciting parts of this huge journey we call living.
Yep.
And yeah, before that, I know I asked you shared a story with me about something that happened to you yesterday. So I don't know if at any point you feel comfortable sharing, but I thought that was just such an impacting and connective story. I thought if you have a moment to share that.
Yeah, I can share that. Let me do a quick recap of part 1, and it'll be a really quick recap. And basically kind of explaining to the listeners that hadn't heard the previous podcast, because it was a long one. The previous podcast, basically, we covered my reincarnation story and kind of a lot of why we're here and why we're talking about this. I guess it actually does feed into that as well. So basically, of course, reincarnated. I died in a car accident. I was about 9 years old. My dad was driving. He went off a bridge. I drowned, and then I went through heaven, and then to the present moment. My memories are continuous, starting from my previous life through heaven till the current. So the name of the podcast is A Letter to Myself. By the way, I think I am going to donate $1 each time I say the word to some charity, because I'm trying to stop myself from saying so much. But the truth is I have a lot to say, and I'm just trying to slow it down to make it, there we go, another $1, right? Another one. But I'm trying to slow it down to be able to convey everything that I want to say, so it doesn't sound like a complete mess. So let's see here. Okay, I'm just going to keep saying it. So let's see here. We'll start with, oh my gosh, I am stalling out here.
So we're going to go with tell us a little bit about how it started, your story.
So in my 20s, I started writing a book called A Letter to Myself. And I started to realize that other people don't remember heaven. Other people don't remember past lives. And it really terrified me, because I thought, without the backstory to this whole thing called life, it can take a lot of different paths and a lot of different unknowns. And how are you going to reach this? How am I going to live my life and experience it to the fullest without some kind of background to this? Of course, I have the memories of it. I have the background of it. I have memories of heaven. I that process, and we talked about that in the first podcast. Trying to suppress all the ums.
Don't do it. Just
now I'm conscious about that. So that was the basics of the book, and reason I started writing this book. Then we decided to do a podcast about it, because it's I guess easier. I don't know how much easier it is. We put a lot into it, right? I say, oh, it's easy, no problem, right? So anyway, what you're referring to is an experience I had. Of course, I wake up, putting effort into this podcast and thinking about this podcast. I feel a lot of pressure from it, because I don't have the understanding, even with myself, of why I remember. It's like, well, why me? Well, I'm just a guy. I've got my own problems. I got my own issues. I got my own life, and now I've got these memories, and I'm realizing that people don't remember this stuff. So then I feel obligated to share. I feel obligated to try to help make sense of something that seems very complicated or it seems very just totally abstract. So then my hopes are that one, that the dealing with self is difficult, understanding that, then dealing with where we're at, understanding that, making sense of all that, navigating all that, it's difficult. And if you don't have the backstory to it,
Yeah.
holy smokes, like, geez, that it would feel, I could imagine how it would feel. Of course, I try to imagine how that would feel for others. So I hope that ultimately, in the end, that a person finds some peace with themselves, find some peace in their life, find some magic in their life, find some comfort, find some hope, because there's tons of hope out there. There's tons of magic out there. There's tons of really cool stuff. And depending now, of course, on the listeners, some listeners are in the very beginning of understanding of self and spirituality and all that, and then other people are 1,000 miles ahead of me. They're listening to me yawning because they're like, yeah, I know. All right, okay. Anyway, then they didn't learn anything, and that's fine. But it's for those that need to hear it, and it'll find who it needs to hear, and I feel confident with that. So the other night, I woke up at 3 in the morning. I often don't sleep a lot. Really, it's my excitement for life. It's not. Every day, really for me, I feel like every day is like Christmas. This, and we're going to talk about all this down the road. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but basically, where you reach a place that you realize that the universe does listen to your heart's desires. You reach a place where you're not going to self-sabotage. You're not going to feel unworthy to receive. You're not going to all these things, and that's what we're working towards in this podcast. And once you're in that place and living that, then it's amazing. Something magical is going to happen around the next corner, over the next horizon, or behind the next door. And what's really great is that you reach a place where not only do you realize that whatever dreams you have, whatever things you want to do in your life, whatever, all these things that seem like the impossible or seem too big, that not only are they impossible, but it's actually bigger and better than you ever realized it could be. And that's where I'm at now. And in that, I know I'm not going to self-sabotage. I know I'm not going to feel unworthy. All these things, and not only that, but I know that magic is there.
Yep.
So imagine living that life where you know that that's to be true. It's overwhelming. It is overwhelming in the sense of one, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. That's first of all. It's like instead of on one side where a person like, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. And it's like, this wrong, that wrong, that wrong. There's the opposite of it, where it's like, I can't believe this is my life. Yeah. I'm living this life, and I can't believe it. Like, I have to go sit in a room by myself because my heart is so heavy with love and gratitude, and I'm so far ahead where I never thought life would turn out like this. So it's almost like I'm in no man's fairyland or something, to where I don't even know what to do, and I'm so thankful, and I can't sleep because tomorrow's going to be something magic too. Yeah. And I'm laying there, I'm waiting for the sun to come up. I'm waiting. I'm sitting there watching. I look out my window. And it's like, oh, come on, sun, come on, let's go. And I'm so energetic and excited about life. Used to be life was where it was, man, this shit's taking forever, man. This sucks. Like, fuck, but it's not that way anymore. And that's what I want to share with people. And that's what I want them to hopefully also experience. I want them to experience that passion for life, that excitement for life, that drive for life, that love for life, and that not only love for life, but love for themselves, love for their fellow man, and just becoming a part of that, not feeling alone, and knowing that they are a part of that. They are that, and finding their way to that. So that's what this is going to. Yeah.
I love it because, and before you share what happened, you drop little morsels of all that we're going to talk about. One of them is we are part of that. We'll talk a little bit about the connectiveness of all of us together. So the connectivity of who we are and how we live in a collective.
Yeah, and the human experience.
The human experience. The other thing is, and I wanted to share with you as you were talking, one of the things that's been happening is this podcast and just really being able to share this. I shared in the first time we got together that part of the reason that I'm here is because my dad, when he was alive, used to also drop little morsels of knowledge and hints of how he hoped I could discover where I am and how we become who we are and how we can develop that. And so fast forwarding to here, I feel as I'm listening to you and even just talking and in these wonderful moments that we get to talk together, keys unlocking, just little keys unlocking another door, and going back to practicing, because we'll say this a million times, but this is not an art that you get and done and everything.
Right.
It's a constant practice that we'll have, and it's a practice of, for me, of a sense of trust that sometimes I have to remind myself. I have to trust that we're here and we're saying exactly the right thing, even if we're saying a million times.
Right.
We're saying it in a genuine and true way, and we can't deliver this message any other way than in the most transparent and genuine way.
Right.
So anyway, I wanted to share that because it has been a gift for me as I move through my own life and remind myself, oh wait, I don't have to push. This is what's supposed to happen.
Right.
Let creation, or let what I'm supposed to be without me needing to always fine tune it or control it.
Right.
And also play with the fact that I know we're not talking about manifesting yet, but I can practice something that's going to give me abundance.
Yeah.
And not a monetary, just in abundance, so that, it's happening. The shit is happening.
Right.
So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about that part too. And we do touch on that. But it's a process, and actually that's what we're going to talk about today. We're really excited about that. I'm going to back up a second. I'll talk about what you were referring to earlier, and I'd share this with you before we talked a lot before we got on camera, or before we started the podcast. So I was up at 3 a.m. This was not last night; it was the night before, and I do struggle with why me. You know, I've got my own life. I've got my own stuff going on. I got my businesses that I run. I've got other dreams I'm pursuing and chasing actively. And to stop to do this podcast and do this, I really want to make sure that I come across clearly, that I explain myself well, that all those things. So I'm laying there, and I don't really talk to God a lot. I feel there's a mutual, there's love, God's always present, all those things. And I'm not coming from a religious background at all. In fact, I have no religious background. I never, if I'm telling you, hey, I remember heaven, hey, I remember talking with God, I remember all this. Well, I didn't come here looking for nothing. It wasn't part of anything I even thought of, really. So I wasn't seeking nothing, So, and that's the other thing is through all this, I have no psychology degree. I haven't studied different religions. I haven't done any of that stuff because I also thought that one day I did want to share my message. I didn't want to be influenced by that. I didn't want to come up with this ideology, or not. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not my gift, and that's not who I am.
Right.
So I didn't want to. I didn't want to change that,
Right.
or studying the different. I didn't even know, because I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
I can't even say it. The different religions that have different beliefs and have different. I don't know any of that stuff. So. But I was talking to God, and I just said, why me? As soon as I said that, um, and we talked about the soul contract in the last podcast. Basically, your soul contract is when you're in heaven, before coming back here, your life plays out before you, from beginning to end, and the challenge you have, the lessons that you have, the family that you have. You do have free will in this world, no doubt. You're not predestined, but certain things I think that you are predestined to. There are challenges that you're going to have. There are lessons you're going to have to learn. You're here to learn. You're here for your soul growth. To what end? I have no idea. I don't run shit. I don't. You know what I mean? I'm in it just like everyone else is in it. I'm going through just because I have these memories. Hey, I'm just. What the hell do I know? I don't even know why I have these memories. So I asked him, and then it's like suddenly this flash of like communication. I don't know what you want to call it. I didn't hear a voice. I didn't whatever.
This was when you were still.
This is when I was laying down. Yeah, and I know I'm shaking right now. Okay, sorry. But I had a flash of my soul contract, which your soul contract, and I know I also described it in the first video. It's basically, when you go into your dream state, and you got your friends, you got your hobby, you got your place, you hang out, you got all this, and it's your old friends, it's your old place, man. You know everything. You know every little crook and cranny. And then you wake up and you're like, what the hell was that about? Oh, fuck. Oh, anyway, you go on with your day,
Yeah.
But your soul contract is like that. Subconsciously, we know. And so it flashed back to that briefly. And then I saw like a lot of, like little lights and little points of light. And then I felt like this love. And I felt like that the answer, he was answering me to say it is about sharing this love, sharing this message that you have, this gift that you have. That is why. It's like not that I regretted asking, but he's like, oh, you want to see? I'll show you. And I was like, and then it kind of got like this. I was filled with love, and I was filled with like a light. It's not like the room lit up or anything like that, but I was filled with something as it filled into me. So, like the best way to describe it's like when you wake up in the morning and you have the weight of your body, you have the weight of an injury, you have an old, you wake up, you're like, oh yeah, that's
my
right.
back.
Oh yeah, my back, right? It was that, but the opposite. It was the feeling of that, and then it lifted off, and like this, because I'm getting emotional. But I feel the weight of it, and I feel my whole life I felt this, and I don't know why. I've never known why, but in that moment, like this, it just was lifted, and I started crying. I cried so hard. I ugly cried, like snot, and like I held I didn't want to take my hands off my face. Because that love and that brightness, it was so overwhelming and so much that's why you're not meant to see that. You're not meant to. Not while you're in your body. I'm sure people do. I guess I don't know. But it was a lot. It was overwhelming, but all in good ways. And then I felt this lightness. I felt this rejuvenation. What a hell of a way to start the day from a visit from God. And I can't ever recall in my life that's never happened. I'm 54. So, but it also gave me, I think also in doing this podcast, I am trying to find my voice, trying to
Yeah.
find, how am I going to present this to people? I've never done a podcast. What the hell do I know about a podcast? I'm just a guy
Me neither.
turning wrenches. I'm a mechanic. What the hell do I know? But what I did realize too is that the is that it's kind of like the universe, and kind of like it was my own insecurities, right? And we joked about a persona, right? An online present
Yeah.
persona. It's dressed up in some wizard hat, or I don't know, whatever the bullshit. We laughed about it.
Yeah.
I did screenshots of monk stuff, and not anything wrong with the monk, but just this bizarre thing, because you're talking about spirituality, you're talking about manifesting, you're talking about all this stuff. And I'm just a mechanic, and Diane, we talked about this. We talked about a lot of stuff off camera. We actually should record a lot of it, because it's really good stuff. But finding our voice, and basically realizing that I am good enough, and who I am is good enough. It was my own insecurities. Whereas if I come present, I come genuine myself, that is good enough. I don't have to come up with some online persona to be convincing or some bullshit. It's like, just come as yourself, and yourself is good enough.
Yep.
And so with that, that gave me like a fresh start. It gave me a fresh direction, and just letting that flow and letting it be. And that's where the magic is anyway.
Yep.
It's not this bullshit persona. Not that I would come up with some persona. We joked about that a lot, because it's, like, what outfit am I going to wear? What outfit are you going to wear? And, be all right. Basically, someone watches the podcast, like, is this where it leads? Fucking count me out.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. No Kool-Aid for me, thanks. So anyway.
Thank you for sharing that that experience. I know I can't say it enough. We're sitting here in a public library, in a space that really is, even the lighting, we can make the lighting as bright as dim as possible, has been a fortunate space for us. But I can't tell you how much I appreciate the sense of vulnerability that is happening in these four walls while we're sitting here, and really sharing out with the whole fucking world. If the whole fucking world were to tune in, it's huge. That's a big deal. Not to mention our loved ones and our folks that are sharing this with us.
I think my loved ones are tired of hearing it. I'm the dad that's telling these stories, and they're like, okay, something fresh, But yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
Of course.
Hey, okay, so I want to ask you in true, genuine form.
Sure.
Because we've referenced ego a couple of times, and what you talked a little bit about really hits what my representation of ego is. And I know last time we were together, you said, well, we're going to have to define ego. And so I'm wondering if we could take a really quick moment to possibly define ego, so that maybe later on, as we're talking about what creeps in and insecurities and bullshit, we can reference it as it is.
Sure. I think that most of the time when we refer to ego, especially in the way that we're going to talk about it, ego would be when, so we'll refer to this, we've got a bunch of stuff drawn up on the dry erase board that we drew up before we started the podcast, of course. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't be drinking those Topo Chicos.
I said the same thing. Why am I drinking bubble water?
I know, just so I can belch for the listeners.
Yeah.
So ego, generally the way that it's referred to and what I'm talking about, and maybe there's a different term, all this stuff, we're just going by the seat of our pants anyway. So, and I'm not super educated. I don't have fancy words. I just don't have it. My vocabulary is pretty limited, but hopefully I can get across what I want to get across. So in ego, the way I define it is when a part of yourself tries to become an overbearer or try to run your shit, or try to, it could even be, ego could be created for a lot of reasons. It could be a trauma response. It could be a part of yourself that was developed to protect yourself in a horrible situation, or an abusive situation, or those kind of things. And when we refer to trauma, that's what we're referring to, this part of ourself that basically almost bullies the rest of the parts of yourself, if you will. But I think if it's developed in an early time, an early stage in life, which I think was where it would be, then that part of yourself can ultimately try to define them as you, as opposed to having all the other parts of yourself that may not get to exist, may not live through you. It tries to run your shit. And in a survival situation, it's valid. It's important because you have to have a part of yourself to defend yourself and be, I don't know, even confident. I don't know if that's even the word, but try to navigate.
And protective.
Protective, right.
Like a blanket of just like.
Yes.
In Spanish, we call it escudo, which is like a shield. Especially connected to trauma, right?
Yeah.
And who, like our own character becomes like alter ego, let's say. You became, like for me, because of trauma, I became very angry and very combative and extremely defensive. So I was protecting myself or protecting my loved ones from being hurt or them being hurt. So
Right. So I guess if you want, we can move on to this and we can continue on that subject unless you have something else you want to talk about.
No. Let's go.
Okay. So we're going to move. Actually, if you want to move the camera, and then we can kind of show what we've drawn, and I'll start explaining what we've got here.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, we're going to move it actually over here.
All right. So you can see it okay?
Give me 2 seconds. Sorry.
Okay. All right. You can see everything okay?
Yes.
Okay, so originally I was not going to do this graph because, again, my own insecurities about my artistic talents. But I decided actually, you had to actually talk me into it, because after we finished the last podcast, I said, "Hey," she's like, "No, I want you to show me what you're talking about." It's like, "Okay, I'll draw it out." Because originally I was going to just draw out this whole podcast. I was going to draw out, in beginning, then it moves on to this stage, and then there's actually a whole lot more to this. We actually erased a lot of the stuff because it's for later on. This is the magic manifest stuff, and this is a whole new whatever. So this part of it here, for those that can't see, that you're actually just listening, what we have is we have a bunch of circles, and then we have little lines, and then they have little circles on the ends of them. And it's drawn in a little box, and then there's a line. I actually have a friend of mine that's visually impaired, so I thought if you listen to it, then I can explain to him instead of, because otherwise it doesn't do a lot of good for him. Plus, a lot of people are going to be driving. They're just going to be listening. They're not going to be looking at their phones and trying to look at some damn circles. So, but those that are. So basically, this is representing in heaven. Okay, this is the souls in heaven. This is what this would be. Okay, this is this place. So this would be where you do your soul contract. You do. It's heaven. This is here. So the dividing line here would represent being born, right? So you go from the eternal world into the physical world. In the physical realm, of course, I'm getting excited and I have so much I want to say. I'm going to try to slow it down. Please slow me down if it gets too crazy.
Oh, wait, hold on, Donnie. I have a question. So each one of these little circles with lines and circles attached to them is a representation of ourselves. So for example,
souls, different souls.
Or our souls.
You mean each one? Yeah.
Yes.
So each one.
So each
Yeah.
one is
Mhm.
one soul, and then
Mhm.
together they're many souls, and where we sit in this space is heaven
Mhm.
with
Yes.
all these souls. And
Without
then
a body. Mhm.
got it. And each one of the little circles around our soul is
Would represent different parts of ourselves, and
got it.
this could be, you could say, what's the reference that I want to think of? What would it be, like relatives, or like not relatives? Gosh, how would you even say that? Um, my mind's totally blank right now, but it's basically, you can define it a lot of different ways, but it's different parts of yourself that you're born with.
That
Um,
make you who you are.
that make you who you are, right? Like
Okay.
you look at a young child, they are who they are.
Yeah.
Like it takes time. I mean, they are who they are even coming into. They have the core of who they are,
Mm,
the core parts of themselves that they are,
yeah.
which I'm really glad you brought that up. And I guess ancestral
Mm-hmm.
spirits within yourself, whatever,
Yes.
however you want to say it. This could also be, who knows? I'm not running nothing. I don't. This is just my interpretation to try to explain it. So you could say it a lot of different ways, and I think a lot of people see it as different ways. But it is the parts of yourself that you come into the physical world with,
The different contributions, wherever.
of self.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
So,
Okay.
so then you cross the line. Hello, you're in the physical realm. The physical realm.
You're born to this.
You're born into this place.
Ah.
Born into this 3-dimension physical realm, and you have your 5 senses. So you go from this to now this into your body, and this is something that we're going to talk about later on. This is just a drop of water, because there's an analogy later on where we're going to cover that. But you come into the physical realm, and it's a pretty weird place, right? You're going from this total different existence, and now you're placed into this body. And in this body, the rules to here are pretty defined. You're in this body. You got the 5 senses, and it's like, what's going on here? It's a weird place. Well, I say that because right, it is weird, right? So you're like, you're
Especially
weird.
in comparison to what you've experienced, because
Right.
there you got this abundance, and you shared that last time, abundance of no parameters, of colorful beauty,
Right.
of unstoppable
Right.
joy, and just abundance. And then you're
right.
here with
And
your
then,
5 senses.
right. Then you're here, and you're born into a certain time, right? You're born into the 1900s. You're born into the 2000s. You're born in 1990. You're born in 1940. Whatever time in which you were born into. And I can get into that. I know we're jumping all over the place. But that's okay. So please reel me in at any point. Anyway.
I'm the worst person to reel you in, Donnie. I am so tracking. I'm there.
Okay. So we're born into this body. So we have multiple parts of ourself. Now, when I'll say multi-souled, but a more kinder way to say it would say that all the colors that make our painting are different colors, but each of those colors combined together make us of our own, right? That is who we are. This is what we are, but it is multifaceted. One color does not represent all of us, right? Which is very important. So we come into this world. We're now in this body. So now you have the spirit into this physical body, existing in this physical realm, and you're perceiving your existence. You used to perceive it here, which is totally different, and now you're coming into this body. And this while you're in this body, it's important to point out that you're seeing a very filtered version of your existence.
Right.
With your 5 senses, you think, oh, I can smell, I can hear, I got touch, I can do all these things, but it's still, in comparison to here, this is almost this is a handicap. It's not easy. It's tough. You gotta feed the body. You gotta comb its hair. You gotta make sure it sleeps. You gotta brush your teeth. You gotta wash your feet. I don't know what you gotta do. but you got to do all those things.
Yeah.
You know, it's a chore. You're like, this is not easy. Like this is easy. This is easy peasy. But now I'm stuck in this meat suit, and right, I've got to deal with this shit now.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine. It's living. It's exciting, right? And then so then you come in, and then say, especially where I think we'll just talk about in the early part of it, where say there's trauma, say you're born into whatever economical status, whatever family or not family, or whatever the case may be. We'll just talk about trauma. Let's just talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So in trauma, you're going to have a part of yourself that I guess we can define as ego, which we talked about that earlier, that says, okay, this is me, right? This is, I'm tough. I'm you know, I've got this. You know, and you puff up your chest, whatever. This, and you have multiple parts of yourself, right? Now, through trauma and stuff like that, you're not encouraged to be parts of these other self, right? In fact, it takes a long time before you get to explore these other parts of yourself generally. So with ego, that tends to run your shit. In fact, that can run your life until really it actually you could live and die with that and never get to explore these other parts of yourself. You know, you may try to find it through love, you may try to, you know, find it through other people. Ultimately, then you find out that you've got to do the work yourself. You've got to do the work yourself. No one else. Now, other people can remind you. Other people can believe in you. Other people can want the best for you. They can see it in you, but you can't see it in you. You can't see it in you. I wish I could explain the words of the singularity of how we perceive ourselves. So we generally perceive ourselves as singular because we're in this body. It's like, what are you talking about? There's just one. First of all, back up a little bit. Your spirit, it's not your body, right? So if you think back and where I talked about where I'd lived before, I died in a car accident, went through heaven, and then now. Obviously, that body wasn't me, right?
Right.
I would have no problem going to my old grave and be like, yo, what's up, whatever. I don't know if I'd say that, but I might. But that is no more me than this body is me, right? And I'm cool with that, right? We'll get into some other stuff later on, but for now, we'll just leave it at that.
You're that.
I'm this, right? I am this.
Which later on we'll talk about is actually
Real,
all that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had to do it.
Yeah, I know. We'll loop back to that in a little bit.
And Donnie, real quick. So if you're pointing at one little circle above, so let's
one or
just
two.
point.
Sure.
That would be your trauma.
Right. It's the part of yourself that that needed to represent you as a whole.
Right.
To survive. Right. Man, you ain't got time to explore this other stuff.
Because you're surviving.
Right. You're in survival mode. You're in like, this is a chaotic fucking mess here.
Yeah.
This is a disaster. And I'm just trying to get through. I'm projected into this life. I'm projected into this, you know, I got to deal with my soul contract. I want to revisit soul contract real quick. People talk about, do you choose your soul contract? Do you, they're like, I didn't pick this. They're like, oh, you picked your family, you picked your mom, you picked whatever. Again, I think, I covered that in the first one. It's not a menu.
Right.
I don't remember a menu.
Right.
You know, what I've picked, the shit I went through. I don't think so. Maybe I did, but from my memory,
right.
No. It was like it's a gentle. This is for your own good. Here you go. And of course, I think about all my stuff in my life that happened, all these things, but it was required for my soul growth through my own journey. It's kind of unbeknownst to me as well. Or it's not like I'm not running shit, right?
Right.
This is it's not like you're thinking. You would think that you have it's like McDonald's. It's not, your life isn't McDonald's. Mm-hmm. It's not a Netflix channel.
Right.
This is something way bigger, way than even it's hard to imagine. Over multiple lifetimes, over multiple centuries over this. It's just that this life is just a small part of that. So, and it's hard to conceptualize that,
Right.
But back to this. So, through trauma and stuff like that, we end up running on just say, a very small part of who we are to survive, This could also be social pressures. This could also be people around you are expecting this of you, right? You're a whatever. You're going to be this. You're going to be that. You're going to be whatever. You end up becoming who other people perceive you as. People know you as, but inside you know the difference. You you got these parts. These parts. They're dying. They're dying to be you. That's kind of weird. They want to exist and live through you. They've been there the whole time. Mm-hmm. They've been stuffed down.
And I think of that when I think we discussed this before and talked a little bit about, and like your ancestors can be part of one of those pieces, and your expectations through life. So I think about one of my grandchildren, for example, and I'm constantly saying, "Oh my gosh, you're just like my dad. You're just like my dad." And at what point am I pouring this? And could I possibly be affecting the expectation, like you're saying, his expectation to be whatever it is that my dad was, like if he played a piano or if he played the saxophone, whatever. And so you become something, or you start trying to be only one part of that ends up only being a very small part instead of the holistic piece, the holistic part of your soul, right? And what I'm hearing you say is not even choosing. Sometimes when you only have one opportunity to be a part of you, the rest of the parts are dormant and you're not being your holistic self.
Right. But it takes time. It takes like this whole process we're talking about. Some people will live their whole life and never get to even explore this. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. So at a certain point, you're going to say, this shit ain't working out. Yeah. My life is still fucked up. Things are always fucked up. Things are not working out. I am not where I'm supposed to be. It's like this loop you can't fucking get out of. And it's like, so you start seeking spirituality. You have a midlife crisis. You're trying to cross the bridge of who I became, who people expected me to be, versus who I am inside, right? Everybody knows me as this person. How the fuck am I going to get? I wrote a thing, I think in my 20s somewhere, about, maybe it was in my 30s, I don't remember, that I'm on this side of the river, right? That's just the way I worded it. And everything I've ever wanted, everything I ever dreamed of, is just on the other side. It's just on the other bank right there. I can see this bank. I know it's there. Everything. Oh, I'm getting emotional because I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about when I was there and how miserable I was. And I wanted to be on the other side so fucking bad, so bad. And I knew it was there. I knew that life was there. I knew all my dreams were there. But I'm here. How the fuck am I going to get from where I'm at now to this other place that I know I want to be? And that's a whole nother story. But of course, at the time, I'm also going through my own life contract stuff, my own lessons I had to learn. I still hadn't gone to prison yet. I knew that was coming, and I was not looking forward to that shit. I was not. That was one of the things that I remembered from my soul contract. I knew that since I was a kid, and I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want to fucking go to jail. Fuck that, Yeah. How can I weave and bob and get out of this shit? But you can't. It sucks. It's supposed to fucking suck, right? It's why it's called a life lesson. It's not called fun. It's not called joyous event. Yeah. It's called misery. gut-wrenching suffering, you
Yeah.
know? But you get through it. Not only do you get through it, but you also, that is life. It is the core of life. The highs, the lows, the good, the
Yep.
bad, the ugly. There's nothing else happening. That's what's happening. It is life, and you've got to get out there and get it. You've got to get out there and do it. You've got to get out there and live it. You know, fight that fight.
Yeah,
You know?
if you fall, you fucking get up.
That's right.
And you
That's
keep
right.
moving
That's
forward.
right. Yeah, you get stupid with it. Fuck it,
Yeah.
let's go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to go down. I'm going to keep fighting
Yep.
because I believe in this. I deserve this. Well, at the time, maybe I didn't feel like I deserved this, but I hope that I deserved it, and I hope that I would give myself that. I would hope that the world would grace that to me. You know.
Well, and you know, you did not deserve to go to prison. You did not deserve that experience, but you shared with us that part of your experience was becoming rich for the first time ever in prison.
Yeah.
When you were reading the books. So
That's
your
right.
representation of wealth back in the day was
still,
reading books and
I would still say that is.
and
I'd
that's,
still say that is.
you know, and I'm not trying to make lemonade out of lemons. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that even in the toughest times, you were provided an opportunity. I just love the way that you provided that opportunity to become wealthy by reading, for example.
Well, the thing is, what I realized is that even though I was going to be in prison and I was going to spend a little over 5 years there, I knew that life didn't stop,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't stop growing. I didn't start, you know, everyone's playing dominoes and cards and betting on their fantasy football and all that stuff, which is fine. I'm not, whatever. But time is of the essence. And I cannot waste my time here. I've got to come out of this better. If I'm going to come out of this and face the world again and be the best that I can be, then I need to broaden my horizons. I need to better myself. Whatever limitations and means that could be, I'm going to do it. I deserve it. My family deserves it. You know, it's okay with fucking up. It's okay with being a fuck up. Hey, you make mistakes, but the way that you make up for that, you can say I'm sorry, which that's fine. You can apologize to your loved ones. You can apologize to yourself, but you show it by the way you live, by the way you mean it. You show it. You show you're sorry by not repeating the same shit. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like punching somebody in the head and you go, oh, I'm sorry, and you punch them in the head again. Hey, I'm sorry. No, you stop punching them in the fucking head. Mm-hmm. Like, and you change your life, you change your direction, you change all that stuff. Now,
and that allows you to move from one
this
part.
This does, because otherwise you have this one part of yourself that tries to run your shit, to be your shit, that will try to convince you that no, there is no other parts of yourself. You know what? No, I'm you. There's no other part of you. Fuck it, right? Let's go till the wheels fall off. It's like, no. There's more to life than this. There's more to myself than this. Yeah. You know, I want to live, and I want to live that dream. I want to experience those experiences, and I have to figure out how I'm going to do that, and it has to start within me, because if it doesn't, it's never going to happen. I'm going to live and I'm going to die, and there'll be parts of me that will go to my grave with me and never exist. Yeah. And I can't accept that. I can't be a part of that. I won't be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of that. I want to fucking live, you know, and I'm going to give that to myself. And I did. And that's a lot of what we're sharing here. So, all right. So eventually we come to a spiritual awakening. We start to realize things about ourselves. We start to realize, you may say, some of the examples that I use in realizing self, that there's multiple parts. Well, I know it's a bad example. You have an uncle that starts drinking, and you're like, or someone calls you on the phone within 2 minutes, 2 seconds, you're like, oh shit, they're drunk. Okay, well, how do you know they're drunk? Because they're operating on this one part of themselves. Yeah. This self-pity party, the stories, the narrative, we need to talk about narrative as well.
Yeah, we do.
The narrative that they've created, the narrative that they cannot get out of, and they have no idea how to get out of or how to see out of it. They are stuck in it. That's their existence. Their ego is running their shit. An ego wants to be right? The ego will draw the information to it and say, aha, I knew I was right. And anything that goes against it, push that shit away. Because after all, I want to be right. I run this shit. I know what the fuck's up. You're not telling me shit, right? Okay, fine, right? But actually, that's one thing. I celebrate 20 years sober, of course, this year.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thanks. When someone says that, I'm always like, well, congratulations, you're not fucking your life completely up. I'm like, oh, thanks. But I would say the biggest thing about like stopping drinking, when I drink, or when I did drink, I would run these stories. I would run the narrative, right? This narrative of who I am, narrative of somebody talk crazy to me, right? Or,
Yeah.
and it could be a true story. It could be some shit I made up. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm focusing on. Who they think they're fucking with. I'll go fucking drive my car through their house. I don't give a fuck. I'm crazy, whatever, that whole bullshit. And when I'm sober, right? Well, of course, a lot of it's changed inside who I am as well. But when I'm sober, then it's, I look at a situation, somebody talks crazy to me, somebody does me wrong. Instead, I go, okay, what someone else does is not a reflection of who I am.
Right.
In fact, it has nothing to do with me. I wish them luck. Go their way, I go my way. But what I'm not going to do is let it take me off my own game. What I'm not going to do is allow that energy and that person's negativity, that person's whatever they got going on. I wish them luck, but I can't be a part of it, and that's totally okay.
And that takes a lot of practice because, again,
it does
all
take a lot of practice.
Trauma-based ego, or the trauma-based part of who makes you who you are, is instinctual, because that's actually survival. So
right.
Instinctually, you're immediately going to be possibly drawn to that approach versus any other logical approach.
Right.
So the practice of knowing, okay, wait, that is not me.
Right.
That is what they choose, and instead I'm going to choose the path that I need to.
Right. Or recognize within yourself and be able to be honest with yourself and who you are and what makes you you and why you're you. And be able to say, someone cut you off in traffic. It's like, hey, you mother, whatever. Instead of that, you just pull back for a second and you say, hey, you know what? Maybe they got to take a shit. I don't fucking know, right?
Right.
Maybe their mom just died. You don't know what people are going through.
Right.
But I think that compassion with yourself, because you have to have that compassion with yourself, that love with yourself. First, you got to discover what self is first, and then that goes outward, right? And then that's also how you react with people, how you see people, and how you see the world. Of course.
One of the biggest questions I have floating in my head every time you start talking about, like growth and moving forward and really getting to a place of where we're discussing is like, did you have an aha moment? But as I'm hearing you talk, I don't know if you had an aha moment where you were like, oh shit, I need to get my shit together. Or when you were in prison, you're like, oh wait, that's not the path. This is, but as I hear you, I just keep reminding myself that this is just awareness and practicing awareness.
Yeah.
But that was going to be actually my question to you. Is there an aha moment, or is there a moment?
Yes.
Are these little moments?
Oh, there's a big moment.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's low is different, right? That's with sobriety. I guess that's also with yourself too, you could say.
Yeah.
I got sentenced to 6.5 years in federal prison. And I went from this fast and loose lifestyle to my mom had to put up her house to get me out of jail while I was on pretrial services, which is basically after you're arrested, law enforcement doesn't know who you are, so they put you on a thing called pretrial services. If you don't have anybody that will bond you out or say that you're okay, because they don't know who you are, they don't know about you, but someone can vouch for you. My mom put up her house. But in part of putting up her house for that, then I had to go stay with my mom. That first night, so I got out of jail. In jail, I don't know. I don't know how to say it. Whatever. Jail, it didn't bother me. Whatever. It's like, whatever. Whatever. It is just what it is. But my mom didn't have she didn't have her spare bedroom ready yet, right? So I had to stay in her bed with her, and she's on a breathing machine. And so here I just got arrested. I just got out of jail. I went from this crazy lifestyle, just complete craziness, to laying there next to my mom and her breathing machines going on all night. Yeah, I laid there.
Oh, wow.
I laid there and I started reflecting, started thinking about myself, who I am, thinking about the parts of myself that allowed things to go that far, that allowed, self-centered, just the list goes on and on. I started crying. Yeah, I started crying because I realized that I allowed myself, a part of myself, to represent me as a whole. And that by doing so, got myself in that situation. Now that I'm facing, 6.5 years in prison, of course, you only do 85% of your time. So that's where you get the 5 years, 3 months. But now that I'm facing this and I'm about to have to go through this, that part of myself that was like both pistols blaring, not giving a fuck, whatever the fuck, doing your bullshit, was like, oh, that's an interesting situation. See ya. I was like, you motherfucker, fucking asshole. You will fucking never represent me as a fucking whole anymore. I allowed that to happen, whether I thought it was fucking cool, whether I thought it was fun, whether I thought it was whatever it was. Well, how fucking fun is it now? It's not fun. Look what you're putting yourself through. Look what you're putting your family through. They're worried fucking sick about you. Yeah. So to answer your question, that was the moment. In that moment, I was like, you cannot represent me as a whole. You cannot be, I can't be that self-centered piece of shit. Because, you want to be a badass? Well, this is where the fucking badasses go, away from society. And really, not to really get into it too much, but like the laws and the basic laws are just the basic, what is it? Somebody compared it to the rules of kindergarten. You keep your hands to yourself, whatever those rules are. Yeah. Are almost a reflection of the laws. Right. To protect, it's like, others from others, Yeah. And I certainly had broken those laws, and breaking the law, I've always seen kind of also breaking the law too. There are consequences to your actions. It's like getting a speeding ticket. It doesn't mean you're a good or bad person. It just means you broke the law and there is consequences. Yeah. So, take that for whatever it is. So it doesn't mean that all people that go to jail are these horrible monsters, even though there absolutely are. But it just means that they broke the law and there's consequences. So then they got to serve their time. So.
Oh, so when you're sharing that, and this is super side note, I hope I'm not way off left field, but I just have to say it because I've got a lump in my throat. Because I'm a mom of 3 sons, and so thinking about my child growing up and moving into the real world and adulting, and then having to come back to sleep in the same bed as me is almost a restart that is so painful as a parent to hear. Like, I know their dignity, their sense of self, if they had it, well, obviously, or if you never had your sense of self, like, you need to check yourself. It's like a restart button, and look, you fucked up. Here you are, starting again. Even just as representative as it is having to sleep in the same bed as your mother because you fucked up, and it just, oh my gosh, my heart is.
My mom told me, she said, before I went to prison, my mom, she said, son, I'm really sorry it turned out this way. I said, Mom, it didn't turn out no way. Everything's going to be okay. And she looks at me and she goes, okay. And on the flip side, when I got out, my mom picked me up and she looks at me and she starts crying. She says, don't you fucking ever do this to me again. And my mom was not one to cry, not one to talk like that. She wasn't that. And I said, Mom, I promise you I won't.
Good news. That motherfucking part of me, I said, fuck you.
Right. That's right. I said, I promise you I won't. And she goes, she's like, wipes her tears. She's like, all right, let's go. and it was just that moment, what was really cool, she passed, 2 years ago, but before all that, she told me how proud she was of me, and, that I didn't go back to that lifestyle. I got my shit together. I got my life together. I chased dreams, living a good life, and
Yeah.
she was really proud of me. My dad was proud of me too, which was really nice to have that and have that closure in that chapter of my life before they both passed. And it was actually, both of them went to hospice before their passing. Actually, my dad was only about a week in hospice, and then my mom was maybe 9 months hospice. I was so excited to be there for them, because I was reflecting back when I was wrapped up in addiction, doing drugs, drinking. I didn't care about myself, right? That part of myself was running my shit. I didn't care about myself, and I didn't give a fuck about you. It's not that I didn't mean to. I didn't have it to give. I didn't have it, right? I didn't have these other parts of myself living and existing. They're tucked away, far away. So what was really cool is that here they are in their time of need. I like the saying, it's in time, like in the good times, you don't know that person. That person's smiling in your face, they're shaking your hand, they're patting your back. It's all good in the hood. You don't know that person. What one's true character shines through in times of adversity.
Yeah.
Right. That's a great quote. So I love being that for other people, because this is who I am now. This is what I'm about. So when my mom, she got sick, I loved being there for her. I loved feeding her. I loved wiping her butt, whatever. It's whatever, that's TMI, but and then being there for my dad. With my mom, it was more prolonged, because I would take her to her doctor's appointments and elderly care type stuff. She got depressed, and she had a spinal injury, a tumor, not a cancerous, but a tumor on her back, and she was losing movement in her legs. So the doctors were like, hey, we can remove this and maybe you can walk again, but if we don't, you're not going to, because it was cutting off the nerve to her legs. She got the surgery, but unfortunately, she could not grab the concept of nerve damage takes months and years to heal. It's not like a cut on your finger, those that has to grow back together to communicate. She never did that, so then she got depressed, she gained weight. I couldn't transfer anymore from the wheelchair, and I'm a big guy. And I couldn't move her to the car without hurting her more. And so I ended up getting a handicap bus. I bought a school bus, and we used to, and it had a wheelchair lift, and I would roll her in there, and we would drive around. I'm driving, and I thought, how weird is life? I'm driving a school bus around. My mom's in the back, and I'm yelling at her like she's a bad kid, and just like
sit down back there.
just cracking jokes, and of course she rolls her eyes, like real funny, But we were just having fun, and we'd pull up to Sonic and get food, and she loved junk food, and and so we'd share that. Of course, my dad had, but my dad, his story, he had fell and broke his hip, and of course, once you break your hip, the chances of survival, I don't know what it is, 15%. It's very low. Once you break your hip, I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very low. The life expectancy past that is a very short time.
Wow.
So he went to the hospital. Then they found masses in his lungs. No surprise, he smoked since he was 14. Of course, he lived to be 88. But he also had heart restrictions. I think he was like 10% circulate, whatever it was. He had a blockage.
Oh wow.
So they weren't going to be able to operate on him. You know. And my dad had got shot in a home robbery invasion. He was not the robber; he was the victim. Point blank with a shotgun in 1981.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I don't know if you ever knew that.
I did not know that, but I would love to know about his soul contract.
I know.
Holy shit!
I know. He got shot in a home robbery invasion, and with a shotgun point blank in his stomach. He had a 5-year life expectancy in 1981. So, of course, the doctor that told him that he had died, decades before. My dad was still kicking, and So he had a lot of operations throughout his life. You know, he had intestine removed and a bunch of intestines and different stuff. Part of his liver, you know, he was pieced together. You know,
Yeah.
and then there's other details, and you know, they beat him over the head with the stock of the gun. Then they took the barrel, and
Oh my gosh.
once the stock broke, they jabbed the barrel in his neck, trying to kill him. You know,
Okay.
so he'd been through hell, right? He had been through some shit. So he was like, after they told him, it was like, hey, you've got these masses, you've got, you know, heart issues, we can't operate on you. So my dad said, he said, son, don't let him cut on me anymore. I said, yes, sir.
Mm.
In other words, like, this
I'm
is it,
good.
you know. Then he was verbal for, I think, the next day, and then after that he was nonverbal, because once you go from, the hospital wants to keep you alive. They're there to keep you alive, to get better, to heal. That's not the case here. You know, he was moved into a hospice immediately, and then it's just to keep you comfortable into your passing.
Mm-hmm.
He lasted about a week, and then he was nonverbal after that next day. Of course, I just talked to him like he is verbal, and just joke with him and just hang out with him, you know. And then my sister, she says, hey, Daddy's hanging on because you need to talk to him and tell him it's okay to go, you know. And I was like, fuck, why do I got to talk to him? Why do I got to be the adult in this shit? Why don't you go fucking talk to him? Like, I don't know what to say. I'm just you know, I'm a kid here. Like, I'm not a kid, I'm an adult, but that's some
I'm
big,
his kid.
yeah, that's some big kid shit. Like,
Oh no.
you know,
Oh no.
it's like, fuck, all right.
Oh.
So, because I don't, plus I don't want to feel like I'm responsible for him dying either.
Yeah.
You know, not that that's what it is, but you know, I don't know. All right. So yeah, I did. So I went and talked to him, and you know, told him, you know, how much we love him, and thanks for being our dad, and you know, his cats are going to be okay, his house is going to be okay. Everything's okay. You know, everything's okay here. You know, you can go on. Everything's okay. And he did end up passing that night. Yeah. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. With my mom, you want to talk about this kind of stuff, and we'll get into a lot of other stuff, but with my mom, with her passing, a few days before she passed, she said, hey, I had a dream about, you know, our uncles and aunts, some that had already crossed over. And I said, oh, okay. And I started thinking, I was like, okay. Because it's very common for your relatives to come visit you, and to, they're there to help you cross back over, right? A lot of people are very, if they haven't done this kind of work here, you realize that you're not your body, right? They think that they are their body. So then it's very hard to disassociate with that, or to separate it, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, and we'll cover a lot of this stuff later on, but they come over to help you cross back over. So then she went from, hey, I had a dream about these people, to, hey, they visited me. And I was like, okay, you know, so I knew that the time was getting pretty close.
Yeah.
So the last time I visited with her, she says, you know, she's coherent, she's, you know, whatever. She says, hey, I don't remember which aunts or uncles. They're standing at the foot of the bed. They're right there. She goes, can you see them? And I said, Mom, I can't see them, but I know you can. Yeah. You know, because I know that's where she's at, and that's where she's. Something really strange happened with my mom too. You know, my mom was, gosh, how old was she? I don't know. She was around 70 something. It was the craziest thing. So I'm looking at her. This was the day before her passing. But here she is, this older woman, and I'm looking at her, and she looks like a teenager. She looked younger. Like it was.
Oh, wow.
It was the craziest shit. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with me? Like, what's happening here? Like, I don't understand. You know.
Gosh.
But I think it was some type of, like, her slowly starting to cross back over.
Yeah.
But I was seeing her as this as this younger person. I knew what she looked like younger because I'd seen pictures of it as a teenager, and that's what she looked like. And it was the craziest shit. And I was like, I don't even know what the hell's going on here.
You know what, Donnie, is so crazy. When Mom was passing, the last day or two before, I looked at her and I was like, it's funny because, we were always like, do you have the new wrinkle cream? Because we're always anti-wrinkle. We're like, what? And I looked at her and I was like, Mama, your wrinkles have literally gone away. And she looked, I kid you not, like 25 years younger. At the end, when she passed, her face was smooth. That's so interesting. I hadn't thought about it until you just shared it.
Yeah, it was really strange. I never thought about it or experienced that before, or even heard about that.
Never.
I do listen to hospice nurse Julie. She talks. She's a hospice nurse, and she has
a blonde lady.
Yeah, a blonde lady.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. She's really great. And but she talks about how that's a very common occurrence for for the family members to come and they're like, hey, it's it's a celebration, because they're excited, and because they're welcoming you home, and so that's right. Wow. And she said for children that it's their pets that come and visit them. Yeah, so they're the little pets. I thought that was so cool.
That's so sweet.
I didn't remember in my passing. I don't remember any of that. Maybe because it was sudden. Maybe because I was so young. So there wouldn't have been. I don't think I would have known relatives, or I wouldn't have known. I'm sure it happened, and I'm sure it was part of the process. But I don't have a memory of it. I wish I had some wonderful story to tell about it. I just as far as the death part of it and the crossing over. Because you're, from the outside, say if my dad survived, it's like, oh my God, my son died. He's got this dead body laying there, but from my perspective, it was just this real natural transition, just like, because I'm viewing it from this view, and the view just goes from, and like I said before on the other podcast, I didn't even realize that I had died. Because it's just this continuation.
Oh, right. Continuation.
Right. That's why I thought I could breathe underwater in this life, because I was like, shit, I was fine last time. I'm all good. And then I start to realize, oh shit, you didn't make it.
Right.
Oh fuck, So anyway, I know death from the outside seems, and it's traumatic and it's horrible and all these other things, but from the one's perspective, I'm not saying it's bad. Whatever. It's not like the outside perspective.
Yeah.
It's not like this. It's just not.
Which I think is important. I mean, for me, it's important to know, and I've experienced it because I've seen both my parents pass. I've been there when they took their last breath, and it felt nothing but peaceful. Yeah. And the journey prior to that was a little rough.
Sure.
Very painful for all of us, I believe. I would hope not as painful for them as it was for us as their children. But honestly, at that moment, I even heard, a certain bird singing. Like, it was really peaceful and beautiful, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and I try to hang on to that memory. Right. More than the memory of what they had to go through,
right, or
what was going on with their physical body.
Right. Yeah, that's. Yeah, for sure. So, well.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we'll keep talking about ego. So eventually, a spiritual awakening starts to happen. Our midlife crisis. So let's go ahead and start moving on to the next part, where you do start to say, hey, wait a minute. There are these parts of myself that oh, is it still recording? Just making sure.
It is.
Oh, good. Okay, that's a relief. Be like, no, it turned off 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Or 20.
What time? How much time are we at?
We are at. Do you want to know an hour and 14 minutes?
Okay, we're doing okay.
We are okay.
We're doing okay.
I don't know what.
I was afraid
like
you're going to say
20 minutes.
I was afraid you're going to say 3 hours. And
no,
I was like, great, I did
but
it again.
Feels like 20 minutes.
Okay, good. And the view's good for.
Yep,
It's okay.
you're totally good. I think if you step a little bit that way, you'll be good. Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Here? No, I'm just
Yep.
kidding.
You're,
Okay. Here? Okay. All right. So, all right. We finally reached the point where we say, hey, I'd like to, and whatever, and maybe sobriety, and maybe in sobriety, it's like everyone's low is different. Everyone's low is different in sobriety. I had a friend of mine, Ray. He was he's passed away now. He was a teenager. He drank 2 beers and he threw up in a field, right? And he never drank again. He's like, that shit's not for me, right? and he passed away. He was over 60 years sober. And I thought, you fucking genius, you lucky bastard. Like I went to prison. I fucked my life all up. I went down to nothing and burned my life down. And you drank 2 beers in a field when you were a kid. I was jealous of him. I was proud. I love the guy. I was so proud of him, And but everybody's low is different. You might lose your kid. Who knows what you're gonna go through? But I think that also drinking and alcohol also can be a coping mechanism in dealing with this kind of stuff. It's not like there's anyone out there telling you, oh, by the way, I mean, you might have these late night conversations, chugging beer, smoking weed, doing coke, whatever the hell you're doing, ecstasy, DMT, I don't know what you're doing. And you get these little nippets of this. You get the nippets of this shit right here. But then you wake up the next day and you're like, what the fuck were we talking about?
That was a crazy trip.
At the moment, it was like, oh, that made complete sense. And it's all this big, broad picture that I got it. And then you sober up and you're like, I don't know what the fuck that was. That was just probably just, whatever. But so let's see. So you start to decide, and also let me back up a little bit here. So that the trauma and the stuff like that, where you have ego running your shit, running who you are, is who you are, that eventually that trauma hopefully stops. Dad gets sober, mom gets some mental health, whatever the external thing that is causing you to be that goes away. Or maybe you move out of the house, maybe you, who knows, there's a lot of different situations in that. So you start to explore yourself and you start to question self and you start to want to be these other parts of yourself. When that starts to come down, and I think we talked a little bit about it in the last podcast, it's as though you're working in an office setting and the cubicles were up and the walls were so high. You did not know there were other people in your office. You thought you were there by yourself and everything's just going and it's all cool. And those walls start lowering down and then you start seeing other parts of yourself. It's fucking chaotic.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like you think you're going crazy. You think that how am I going to fucking tell somebody what's going on here?
Yeah. Or how can they hear me with all this loud noise from every other person talking?
Right.
Cubicles that are no longer there.
It is WWF. It is chaos. Everybody's running to the door to be you.
Yeah.
Every part of yourself. All these other ones are like, when do I get my turn? When can I be? When can I do this? When I can, and then there's almost they'll come to a place where I don't even know how you would explain that, how that happens. You find peace. You find really first you have to establish and understand what you're dealing with self. You start to realize these other parts of yourself, right? And then once that happens, you start taking responsibility for yourself. You start, it wasn't them, it wasn't they, it wasn't this. I mean, sure, we can be victims. Yes, that can happen. But what part and what role in yourself needs to take responsibility in the shit that's going on here? It's accountability, it's responsibility of running or basically self-reflecting, all these terms, it's where you got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not pretty. That's fucking ugly because some ugly shit's going to come out. maybe how you treated someone, how you fucked someone, how did you treat yourself?
Yeah.
How did your actions affect other people? How did your actions affect your family? How did all this other shit? The world at large, right? So now that process right there, it's not like you want to watch the video and then 5 minutes later, I'm all good, right?
I'm perfect
It
now.
doesn't work that way. There's always work. There's always eventually you're gonna have to start forgiving yourself,
Yeah.
right? And that can be some hard shit because you've done some fucked up things, not only to yourself, aloud to yourself, and to your family, your loved ones, people that trusted you, people that love you, your own kids, grandma, grandpa, you stole their shit out of your jewelry box. I don't fucking know, to get some drugs. I don't know what you did. Whatever the fuck you did. You got to make amends.
Right.
And that right there, that can be tough because you're like, okay, I got the concept that I did that stuff and that is a part of who I am. But of course, creating that part of yourself and existing in that part of yourself, you didn't fucking know. You were doing you got to forgive yourself too.
Right.
You were just doing that to survive, and that part of yourself is what was created because of that reason, right? You didn't know.
Yep.
But now you fucking know. Now you know. So you've got to take responsibility and ownership in that.
Yes.
So forgiveness comes in, and forgiveness is hard because if that was, or what's difficult about it, if that was another part of yourself, if that was somebody you knew, right? That was Fred. I'm sorry for the Freds out there, but if that, or John, or that's even worse, right? So Steve, wait, that's worse. Anyway, what's this word? Fred. Sorry, Freds. But if that was Fred stole that shit. Fred did all this bullshit, right? Fuck Fred. Fred can burn in hell. Rot in hell, you fucking loser, right?
Mm.
But it's you.
Yeah.
It's fucking you. You gotta forgive Fred. I didn't say forget.
Right.
But you gotta forgive and fucking love Fred.
Yep.
You know?
And that goes, from experience, that's cyclical. It comes back. We talk about it.
Well, it does, because it's not a one and go shot, right?
Yes.
Because you can forgive Fred. You can be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go ahead and love myself. Yeah, I can do that. All right. Come here, Fred. All right. Romance it up.
Mm-hmm.
And an indirect reflection of that forgiveness level, right? Because it's in levels, it's in stages, right? This is a lifelong fucking thing.
Right.
This isn't like, again, watch the podcast 5 minutes later, you're fucking all good, fam. No, because the direct reflection of the value of yourself is that forgiveness. So you'll forgive yourself to a certain level, right? I forgive Fred for stealing grandma's jewelry, right? Okay, cool. Shit, I'm good, right? Life externally starts getting better, right?
Yeah.
Now I have more value. Now I love myself a little bit more. I'm going to actually show myself a little bit of love. I'm going to allow all these wonderful things that exist in this realm, in this world. I'm going to start allowing that to be part of my life. That could be relationship, that could be food, that could be travel, that could be financial. It could be just the whole gamut of wonderful things that are in this life. Then, and I've seen this and I've lived this, and then things get good. Things get pretty damn good. And then all of a sudden you revert back. You go back. You start, because yes, you forgave yourself for stealing Granny's jewelry or whatever. How about, what about that time you fucking, you attack somebody for no reason? What about that time? Oh, fuck, I guess I am a piece of shit.
Guilt starts creeping in.
It's like, oh, fuck it, I guess I am a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So then that goes back down, self-value goes back down. Externally, you start denying yourself those things, right? You lose your fucking job, you fuck something up, you fuck up a good relationship, you crash your car, who the fuck knows what you're going to do? You lose your pants. I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to do. But whatever it is, you are not going to feel worthy to receive that. Because after all, Fred's a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. I am Fred. Fuck me and fuck my life.
Yeah.
And burn it down. No, you don't have to fucking do that. You just forgive yourself. You just fucking be okay. Be okay. You can't change the past. You can't change any of that shit. You can forgive, and from that moment forward, you live the best life that you can live. You take responsibility. You take accountability. You fucking love. You do all those things. That's your sorry. That's your making up for it, is by living that good life.
Yeah, I think this is such a precious message too, because this is where, if we were reading a book together, I would say to folks, what is it called? Earmark? Earmark this moment, because this moment will circle back when we talk about manifestation, when we talk about how we create a sense of abundance. This moment has to sink in and practice so much. Because
this is really will be the core of the next stuff that we're going to talk about. But there's so much to talk on this aspect of it. The importance of it can't be understated. Because without this foundation, of your view of the world is going to be a direct reflection of the view of yourself.
Yep.
If you have love in yourself, you have wholeness, you have compassion, you have harmony, you have all those things that only you can do that work. No one can do that work for you.
Right.
You have to do that work. But if you do that work, it will change your fucking world. It changes your world because it goes inside outward.
Yep.
Right. And then as that view changes and as that grows, you start to realize, hey, wait a minute. All these other people, instead of they, them, right? Instead, because you start to find this beauty in yourself, you also start to find these other aspects of yourself.
Yes.
You also start to get to live these other aspects of yourself. You get to start dreaming again. You start to find wonderment in the world again. Instead of this jaded world and them, they, and I knew they're that way and all this bullshit. Instead of drawing the information to you that confirms it, pushing away the information that goes against it, you go, wait a minute. Maybe I don't know all that I think that I know. Yeah. And maybe the world isn't the way that I thought that it was. And you start exploring that. You start broadening your horizons. You start learning again. You start growing again. You explore more parts of yourself. As you explore more parts of yourself, in that exploration, it also gives you the view to see that in others. You see that love in others. You see that compassion in others. Instead of, oh man, everybody's out to fuck the next man. I'm gonna get my own. They can get their own. All this bullshit. It's like, no. Wait a minute. It's because you haven't seen that in yourself, so you don't see it in others. Yeah. So it starts inside and it goes out, but you got to do the fucking work. And it's a constant. It's not. This is life. This is what's happening. It's a lifelong thing. Yeah. It's not a. You're gonna go sit in you could go sit in a monastery and that's fine, but it is life and it is your life, right? So as you work through all this stuff internally, externally, it happens. And what's really cool, well, not initially, it's not cool. Initially, when you start going through this, the people, your definition of love and your definition of all this shit, it's totally different, right? So say in the drug world, right? Somebody passes you a bottle. What do you say? You're telling your homeboy about it. Man, homeboy showed me some love. Let me get some of his, let me get some of his drugs or alcohol, right? He showed me some love, right? After you get sober, you get out of that life. That ain't fucking love, right? Love is not. Love is. It's not self-destructive, right? Right. It's about living. It's about life. It's about compassion. It's about all these other things. Your definition of love changes within yourself. It changes externally, and you also start to see and realize that everyone else is going through the same bullshit. They all got their contracts. They all got all these different parts of themselves, right? Whether they're aware of it or not. And that's another thing to realize is that I can sit here and talk about it. I can sit here and explain it. But we are all on different levels of realizing all this type of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
We're all on different levels. So, you know, some people watch this video and they're like, yeah, no shit. And they're like yawning, right? And other people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is fucking weird. I don't know what they're going to think. But we're all on different levels, but you start to see the humanity and the understanding of everyone, right?
Right.
So your whole view changes. So
And your whole narrative begins to change.
let's talk about narrative.
Yeah.
All right, we'll blend into
Let's
narrative.
go.
Because narrative, this is the time for narrative. So narrative is, all right, you're here, you come into this physical realm, and you're born into this life right here. And that's where you're at now, or I don't know where you're at. But narrative is your social status, mom, dad, or maybe no mom, dad. Maybe it is the narrative. I basically the way that I compare that to is you and I are next to each other right now, right? You and I both are having completely different experiences, right? We both have different perceptions of what's happening in this moment, okay? So for myself, the way I look at it, I say, okay, my whole life has been a collection of perceptions. It is my narrative, right? It is my narrative, right? My dad was this, my mom was this, my job, my friend, this happened, that happened. It's my narrative. It's my story, right? And especially if you're born into not a great situation, things aren't great. By the time you reach, 20, maybe you're 15, maybe you got it figured out. You think you got it figured out, right? You think, oh, I see. Wow, this is shit town. This fucking sucks. This is suck. And you know what? I'm a pretty smart person, right? I see the writing on the wall. It sucked this fucking long. I can bet the next 20 years is going to suck too. That's my life. That's my narrative. Fuck it. Let's go, right? Fuck it. So you take your, you take a memory that's a perception in that moment, right? And you say, and your ego would say, oh, I'm 50 years old, right? I know what the fuck's going on. You can tell me shit, right? Okay, let's look at that. You have a copy of a copy. What happens when you get a copy of a copy? A copy of a copy, it gets shittier and shittier each time you copy it, right?
Yeah.
So now I've got, every time I remember this memory, but there was only a perception to begin with, well, 50 years later, it's not going to be better.
Right.
So now I have this whole collection of perceptions, which is called my life, my narrative, and I call it my bowl of spaghetti. Actually, this is actually getting into something totally different, but maybe we can dive into it.
Yeah.
So, so then I go, okay, moving forward, right? Looking back, moving forward. Now, prior to all this, before realizing this really, I looked ahead. Future didn't, this was actually, I'd say, before prison or whatever. During prison, I kind of realized all this. That moving forward and looking forward to the rest of my life, my rules that I had made up for my life, what could be, wasn't going to be, what I could do, what I couldn't do, what's possible, what's all these things, whether my financial, my relationship, where I'm going to live, my house, my car, my travel, my whole life existence. Before that, it looked pretty bleak, right? Because I had this narrative of who I am and what the future looks like based off of that narrative, right? I realized it's all bullshit. I realized it's all made up.
Yeah.
It's wide fucking open. It's wide open. Just because I've been going left or right for all these years, I can go left or right at any fucking time. At any point I want to.
Yeah.
And it's like, why didn't I fucking think about that? You know, I'm not stuck at this job. I'm not stuck in this relationship. I'm not stuck in, any of this shit. In fact, it's all completely open, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to get into manifesting. We're going to get into all that. But it's completely wide open. Should we cover anything else on this? Oh, anyway, it's wide open. Since it's wide open, you're making up those rules. I got an idea. If you're making up the fucking rules, why don't you make up something fun?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You can. You got choices. You got free will. It's wide open, right? You're not stuck. You may feel stuck. You may think you're stuck. Just like you feel like you're stuck here in this ego thing. You're stuck in this trauma repeat. You're stuck in all that. You're not.
Yeah.
There's other parts of yourself to explore. There's other parts that want to live. And not only will your view change of yourself, but the view of the world will change.
Right. And I think the only other part I would go maybe touch is I think the correlation between getting in tune, finally realizing that you can tune into the different parts of you, which land here, and then what this looks like.
So originally coming into this world, you're running on, you haven't got to explore a lot of this stuff of yourself. But in that also, because you feel alone, right? You feel alone, right? Because not all parts of you are existing through you, so you feel alone. This represents a very poorly drawn drop of water. I drew about 4 of them and I screwed them all up. So, but this drop of water, you feel alone, right? You feel like, man, I'm the only one going through this. I'm alone. This sucks, and it probably does suck. But the realization, as this evolves and as this changes, and as you start to see this in yourself, not only do you see this in yourself, but you start to see this in others. You start to see this in others. Here we go. Here's others. This one looks kind of evil, but ignore that. They also got their little drop of waters, right? They got their little drop of waters. Multiply that times 1,000,000. So not only do you, what's really, really cool about this is not only do you go from feeling alone and being alone, as you start to see this within yourself, you start to see this in others. And you start to see that all these spirits and all these souls are also in the physical realm in these bodies. They're also going through their own soul contract. They're also wanting to express parts of themselves that haven't got to exist as well. Or maybe they have, maybe they're not. Maybe wherever they're at in that development, who knows where they're at. But you talk to them, they'll tell you probably. Well, I don't know if they'll tell you or not, they may. But you can also feel that within yourself where they are at. You can tell by the way they communicate. You can tell by the way they respond to you. They can, right? Yeah. Are they full of love and compassion? Are they full of hate and anger? Are they still running on this ego, this trauma-based part of themselves, or are they running on some really cool shit? So what's really cool is also the transition that ends up happening is that you go from this single drop, feeling like you're this drop alone in the desert, to not only realizing that everyone else has their drop of water, but actually it is an ocean, and you are part of this ocean. Not only are you part of this ocean, but you are the ocean, and you're part of the human experience. You're part of the human consciousness. You're part of something very vast, amazing, just really amazing. You're not alienated anymore. You're totally in this life with this other life and these people around you sharing this experience. That's really cool.
I think that's where, like you and I were talking, where you think coincidences aren't really coincidences. That's where connections, you start really, if you pay attention, you start really realizing that these quote unquote coincidences that you might have with other individuals are truly built-in connections, because you're evolving and you're growing. I know we've said this. Yes. I feel like we already said this in this space today, but it's just so essential.
Yeah, you're growing and you're evolving internally, but then you grow externally to see this and see this in the world. and become part of that and become part of all that. So, gosh, how can I blend over into the next part of it? Or I guess, are we ready to move on, or should we cover more stuff?
No, I think I don't know. I think we're good on this part, but I think that was perfect.
Okay. So moving forward, so you start to realize that every other human on this planet is going through the same thing. You realize that you're not alone in this, and that you will find your people, and you will find. The other thing too is, as you don't tolerate this within yourself, right? And that's going to be some big changes in your life when this happens for a lot of reasons. People that maybe are using you or want something from you, when you start trying to explore these other parts of yourself, they're going to be pissed. Or maybe it's them part of their self that's running that too, and to see it in you, no, that ain't happening, Jack. Because then they would have to admit to themselves. They may even see it as a threat.
Yeah.
Because then if they see you do it, then fuck, maybe there's something to this. Maybe, you know, you got to remember the ego always wants to be right. The ego wants to draw information that confirms it, push away information that goes against it. But going through this process, especially initially, because those people that are around you that not suffered with you, but misery likes company, right? Your friends are going to change. Man, you might get a divorce. It's going to be a wild ride, and in a way, it's like to be who you've never been. You're going to have to do something you've never done.
Yeah.
So good luck. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. But I shouldn't joke. But it ain't no joke. Like it's
not.
It's of the utmost seriousness.
Yep.
But it's worth it. It's so worth it, right? I mean, you are worth it, and you got to give that to yourself.
Yep.
And you're gonna have to navigate that. You're gonna have to. That is something only the individual can do. You know, you got to put in that work. You got to keep being accountable. You got to keep taking responsibility. Rinse and repeat. Just keep doing it. Keep digging your way out of the fucking ashes that you created for your life.
Yep.
Because it's not easy.
And you have to trust the process, which I know it's become a little cliche-ish for me, but honestly, like you said, you got to keep working at it. When it doesn't work, that's okay. It wasn't probably supposed to work that way anyway.
That's right.
You can find a different avenue. There is a different way. There's a different road you should be taking.
That's right.
Regardless, and trusting that that's the way you go. Like you keep saying, that is life. Life is not getting to point B. Life is the journey of experiences that get you to where you're supposed to land.
That's right. The way that I navigate this, and this is going to lead into something completely else that we're talking about with manifesting, and the way that I approach it is that you can't force those things. You can't block the magic. You can't. The way that I view it is, okay, I've got those. I got my bowl of spaghetti, which is this collection of perceptions that I've had my whole life that make my life, that created this narrative. The way where I'm at now is in my approach to moving forward. I ask myself, am I drawing from a very, basically I have my little timeline that I call my life, my little bowl of spaghetti. And then I got the timeline of the universe, which I can't stretch my arms that far. But what are my odds of success if I'm completely open to all possibilities? Or if I'm just drawing from my little bowl of spaghetti.
With blinders on.
Right. I would say the odds of my it's like standing in the middle of a million hallways and you're looking down this hallway, you know, I know how the fuck this works. I'm 50 years old. You didn't tell me shit. I know what's up. It's going to look like this. This is how it's going to happen. I know. I'm sure of it, right? So you're sitting here staring down this one little hallway, and there's all these other possibilities and everything going on around you, and you just fucking ignore it. You just, fuck it. You know what? I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm 50 years old.
Right.
And you got these blinders on, right? You're not, put your fucking head on swivel. Look around.
Yep.
Be open-minded, right? The way that I do is I say, okay, as a general rule, I don't have a plan, right? I have no plan. Every day, I live this every day. I pursue my passions. I pursue joy. I pursue fun. hopefully somebody eventually pays me to have fun and do what I love doing. And you'll work all day and you had fun all day. You'd
Yeah.
secretly do it for free, right? But you don't want to tell them that, right? You're like, great, I got some car work for you. um, but I say I don't have a plan, but my plan is to not self-sabotage. My plan, of course, is I guess moving on to the next thing. How much time do we got?
We're at 1:44.
Okay, so we're getting pretty damn long.
Oh my gosh! And that is.
I hate that it's at this part. This is a great part. This is like where things get really good.
Yes.
Should we stop it?
Okay, and then we'll do next time. We'll do gratitude, not self-sabotage. We'll do other things. Maybe go into a little bit.
Just a little bit about it.
What about slightly more into the bowl spaghetti? Because we did say we were going to finish that part.
So just the bowl of spaghetti is just basically the narrative that we write for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's establishing what and who you think you are and what your future looks like based on your past, right? And then, unfortunately, self-fulfilling a future and what it looks like based on the past. This trauma, this bullshit happened, economical, whatever the case may be, whatever situation that you have up until that point, and wherever you decide to change that. It's running on the old narrative, saying, just because I went to prison, just because I did this, I did that, you know what? I guess that's just my life. Fuck it. Yeah. And you don't have hope. You don't have, you almost feel like there's no fucking way out. I've dug myself into this so far. This is who I am. Everybody knows me this. How the fuck am I going to suddenly be this person that's chasing dreams, pursuing dreams, doing this, what I want to do, when everybody knows me as this? Right. How am I going to navigate that? How am I going to let go of these preconceived ideas of what my life should look like based on what the past looked like?
Oh, that is so powerful. It's like, society says someone that went to prison can't do this, right, that can't, pursue their dreams and be everything that they want to be. Right. Bullshit.
That's bullshit.
Someone who's had bad grades in school can't ever be whatever it is they want to be. Right. That is bullshit.
It is.
All that is bullshit.
It's all bullshit. It's all made up.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, why don't you make up something fun? Why don't you make something badass? Why don't you have this full life, this awesome life, this adventurous life, this full of love, full of whatever it is that you want? Why don't you have that? Because you can.
And if I were to give a little, like a little gift of until next time, I would say, because this is what I'm doing, I would say, practice it. Why don't you just think of something? Right. Think of one small thing. If you don't want to go big, don't go big. If you want to go small, go small.
Steps. That's right.
Tomorrow, I'm going to wake up and I am really going to focus on
just do a small part of something bigger. Like the bigger picture may seem just unimaginable, impossible. Mm-hmm. Say owning a house, say getting a new car, say whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That really comes into the next video too.
I know.
But yes, starting small steps. You can work your way towards that. You can move that direction. But I guess I need to make sure we remind ourselves to talk about not only the small directions, but also allowing that magic to come in, allowing the universe to come to you, allowing that energy around you to be a part of it and let that work for you. I mean, you're going to have to show up for it too, but
you do.
But you're going to have to do your part. But if you do your part, the other part will do its part. And it's allowing that other part to do its part.
Yeah.
Allowing that worthiness to receive that, having that peace and that harmony. And the next video, we're going to, we've been so excited about this next video that we've been like slowing it down for this, because we're the next thing is so exciting.
But honestly, without clearing the air, which means really which really means, one, identifying that you've got more parts of you than you think you do.
Absolutely.
That your soul is created by several aspects and several ways that you navigate the world. Without that piece, you can't even see any further because you're only in one lane. You're only looking at one thing. The bowl spaghetti is teeny tiny versus this huge mass thing you can create. So I think we're good.
I think so too, because I'm conscious about where people are at. I'm thinking about where people are at. Of course, I know some people are yawning. They're like, yeah, welcome to their world, right? And then other people are like, what are you talking about? But I approach this, the podcast, as I think about cars because I work on cars all the time. Someone just simply asking you, hey, how do I put my wipers on my car? And I wouldn't instantly start talking about, oh, well, you check the valve clearance and the ring pistons and clearance, and then when you pull the oil pan off, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
That's what I would say.
right. The information is, even though spot on, great information, really informative, really good, but they're not there. They're barely. They just want you to put the wipers on. Calm down, there, Tiger. So in organizing this podcast, because there is so much to cover and so much to say, we've talked about this. We talked about this off camera, trying to navigate this, and this is what keeps me up at night, trying to navigate, to be able to articulate and say what I want to say, and where it makes a bit of sense instead of just nonsense craziness. But hopefully this. So in the next video, what we'll do is we're going to cover. This will actually get moved down because here there's more, but there is more, and then it's pretty exciting in the end what you realize. But I guess for now, have fun working on this, and I wish you luck because it's a long road.
That's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's probably the biggest one.
It's probably the biggest one because from this foundation, this is great because this is kind of the backstory. This is really good information to know because otherwise, if you don't have the backstory, then how the fuck are you going to navigate this? But but this is a huge part of it, and this is the foundation for everything that's to come.
And this means working on your narrative, identifying what parts of you are coming out and what parts of you deserve to come out. It means learning forgiveness. It means practicing compassion.
All those things are generated and started inside. And then it moves outward, and then that also changes your outlook. Not only what you'll accept, what you'll have in your life, but also what gravitates to you as well. Just it's the thing. It is life. It is what's happening. It's what's going on. So, but at least with this, I hope that a graph that I wasn't even going to do, I'm going to be honest with you. Hopefully this kind of shows like, there you go. Like, that's what I was trying to tell you, Also, what's interesting about this, I'm sure if Brian's watching, I started drawing this in my 20s. Actually, I drew this on his garage wall in my 20s because I was trying to explain to him that, of course, I'm drinking, I'm smoking weed. Hey, check this out. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? When he redid his garage, it got painted over, and he texted me and apologized. Say, hey, I'm sorry. Your writing, your drawings got painted over. And I said, man, it's okay. I can draw more.
That's
so yeah, it's like totally okay. And,
awesome.
And there's more. So there you go.
That's awesome. Okay.
All right.
Is that it?
We're
awesome.
gonna call it. All right. So the next one will be.
How do you so?
Just hit